We're live. Countdown. You remember 9/11? Oh, by the way, welcome back to the Willie Bragg Show. 9/11, September the 11th, 2001. It was just another typical Tuesday morning. And the two planes hit the Twin Towers. There was one failed attempt, I guess, to go and attack the White House. That plane ended up in the countryside of Pennsylvania, and a plane at the Pentagon. So 9/11. And what happened as a result of 9/11, it was handled in the most ass-backwards way. That ass-backwards way were things like the Patriot Act, surveillance of all American citizens, attacking, going in instead of turning it into a police action, actually bringing us close to World War III with a war in several countries around the world, torture and Guantanamo Bay. A lot of war criminality took place on a foreign policy scale by our U.S. government, and civil liberties went down the toilet, and our constitutional right became toilet paper as a result. And yes, Joe Biden was a large part of that. I'm not a partisan hack. Just because there's a Democrat in the White House doesn't mean that the Democrats is sugar and spice and everything nice. I actually hate any sitting president, no matter which party they belong to, who's sitting at the White House. That's always been my style because, they're all sacks of shit. Well, think about Bush Cheney. They were objectively one of the worst. They were the worst administration in the history of my lifetime. And I just turned 53 a few days ago. Worst president we ever had was George W. Bush. You've heard me say this before. You'll probably hear me say it again. But, we have some really shitty people elected as U.S. Senator. And one of them is U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. That asshole wants us to get closer to World War III with his insanity. He recently urged or advocated, and I want to make this clear when it comes to Russia and Ukraine and U.S. NATO. My position, Willie Bragg, I want to make my position clear. Not only do I oppose U.S. NATO action as far as trying to start another war. I oppose the government of the Ukraine. I also oppose the government of Russia. I am opposed to everybody's involved because everybody has a level of guilt, and there's a level of evil that exists with every party involved. You should think about it. Yeah, Russia on its own, Vladimir Putin on his own, it's a bad guy. I have reason to despise Vladimir Putin. He persecutes the LGBTQ community. He also harasses and persecutes religious minorities, and that's bad enough. And plus, he's a domestic despot in his country. But he was Russia's problem. Ukraine has neo-Nazis within their government, in various ministries in their government. And the Azov battalion are riddled with Nazis in it, neo-Nazis. Stepan Bandera is considered a national hero in the Ukraine. There are streets named after him. Now, I don't want Russia invading Ukraine, but I don't want the NATO to go out of their way on that issue either. Haven't we seen enough war in the past 20 years to give us some pause? Remember the very last time this shit happened. And I remember at this point, if you were in 2002 a little nervous or about going into Iraq, like reluctant about it, or outright just opposed to the war. What do? They accuse you of being pro Saddam Hussein. And then it turned out several years later, those who were opposed to the Iraq war from day one were the ones that were correct. We're seeing deja vu again, almost 20 years to the date. What is the United States doing? Oh, you don't want the United States and NATO to go into Russia to solve the conflict between Russia and Ukraine? Are you pro-Russia? Are you pro-Vladimir Putin? So you're seeing the same shit all over again. Lindsey Graham is urging political assassination of Vladimir Putin, which is a violation of international law. It is stupid. It is absolutely stupid. And Sean Hannity defends his stupidity. I'm going to play you this clip from Fox, and I'm going to comment some more. Okay. Getting everything set up. I got it on fast speed, so we can get on with this.
Russia is now blocking access to Facebook amid the Kremlin's censorship and their propaganda campaign. Russian lawmakers are even moving ahead on pursuing jail time for those who publish so-called fake news reports about the Russian army. And Senator Lindsey Graham, well, he's been attacked ever since he made some remarks on this program last night and saying that someone needs to take Putin out. Here with reaction from the media mob and from Team Biden. Take a look.
As long as we're talking about reckless behavior, Peter, I want to ask you about a tweet from South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, who writes, "Is there a Brutus in Russia?" In terms of reckless behavior, this is a U.S. senator putting out a public statement like that, who was the chief prosecutor in Europe for the U.S. Air Force years ago.
Well, certainly a provocative statement.
But first of all, who cares what Lindsey says, right? No,
He's a United States.
Yeah, but you think any Russian general is going to be listening to what Lindsey Graham is saying
you don't
on
think
Fox
that
News?
Putin could use that as propaganda? The United States is what they're trying to do over there?
Yeah.
Senator Lindsey Graham said last night that someone ought to assassinate President Putin. Does the White House have any take on that statement? Is it helpful at this point?
That is not the position of the United States government, and certainly not a statement you'd hear come from the mouth of anybody working in this administration.
All right, joining me now, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham to respond to this criticism. Senator, you just heard our reporting of what's happened in the last 24 hours since you made that statement. Towns annihilated, neighborhoods leveled, entire areas wiped off the map, and we've heard about targeting civilians. That would be innocent men, women, and children. So in the context of what we heard reported right here on this program tonight, that I think would justify the idea that if you have a conscience and a soul and you're around Vladimir Putin, I don't care, by whatever means necessary, stand up and stop this because innocent people are dying, including kids.
Well, thank you for having me. I spoke to the Ukrainian ambassador earlier today. Your voice is breaking through. After I listen to your program every night, Putin needs a longer table. Here's what I would say. I've been a military prosecutor, defense attorney, judge for 30-something years. I'm going to introduce a resolution next week. I'll give it to you on your show, declaring that Putin is a war criminal. It's clear to me the world would be better off if the Russian people took Putin out tonight. The war in Ukraine would end and Russia would have freedom they don't enjoy today. A steel curtain has descended upon the Russian people. What does that tell me? That Putin is afraid of his own people. Martial law has been virtually declared by Putin. I think the Russian people are not buying what Putin is selling when it comes to the Ukraine. And if the Ukrainian people continue to fight as brave as they are, I think eventually the dam will break in Russia. But I want to say this crystal clear, without apology, without equivocation. The world would be better off if Putin were gone tonight. And the best way to end this war is not American boots on the ground, but for the Russian people to rise up, reclaim the honor of their country, and take this guy out, Putin, by any means necessary. And if you don't understand that, you don't understand this war, and you don't understand the world in which we live.
I don't know what part of targeting civilians, annihilating towns, leveling neighborhoods, and wiping entire cities and buildings off the map people wouldn't understand. I know that we have an executive order. The first executive order was under President Ford. The current one, I think, was under Reagan, 12333, that prohibits the United States from engaging in assassination. With that said, there are people around that have access to Putin, maybe as generals, maybe as advisors. You're right, there's probably not a table long enough to really protect him. But I got to imagine that the Russian people, if they knew what was truly happening here, and I bet you many of them do, they don't support this. From the people, some Russians have already spoken out against it, high-profile athletes, etc. Why is that even controversial, considering if you cut the head off a snake, you kill the whole snake? It would probably end the war. What are you thinking? If there's somebody that follows Putin, you worry, well, he may be worse, but in the back of that person's mind, he's going to be thinking about what just happened to Putin, wouldn't he?
Well, in the 30s, when people were calling for getting rid of Hitler and hoping the German people would stop him, they were considered provocative. Looking back in time, don't you think the world would have been a better place if the German people had stopped Hitler by any means necessary? Don't you think the world would have been a better place if we'd stopped the Balkans War before the genocide? I'm here to tell you, without equivocation, without apology, I believe the world would be a better place if the Russian people took Putin out. And to the Russian people, your future is in your hands. It's easy to talk about on television. I know it's hard to do. Martial law, a curtain has descended upon you and your freedom. But please, we need a Russian spring. If the Russian people rose up and took this man down, the war in Ukraine would stop. The Russian people would regain its honor. And if we don't do this, sooner rather than later, thousands are going to die.
Tens of thousands, Lindsey, maybe hundreds. Is anyone paying attention to the hit squads that Putin has sent into Ukraine to assassinate President Zelensky, who frankly has shown an amazing courage under fire, in my opinion? I don't know him that well, but him staying and fighting and inspiring his people is kind of refreshing, because a lot of leaders by this point would have gotten on a private jet with millions of dollars of currency and gold and left the country, and he's staying with his people.
That's amazing. I'm going to speak with him tomorrow with all members of the Senate. He's an inspiration. And I just want to say this. You're on the right side of history. I'm on the right side of history.
No,
Calling for Putin to be taken down now to avoid more innocent lives being lost is the right thing to do. Asking the Russian people for a Russian spring is the right thing to do. Helping the Ukrainian people with weapons is the right thing to do. When it comes to the Biden administration, they're weak and they're slow. We should have done this months ago when it comes to the oil and gas sector. But I'm going to just let you know, if we don't get this right, if Putin prevails, he survives yet again after one war crime after another on television every night, China's going to take Taiwan and the Iranians are going to break out for a bomb. How this end matters, and let it end now. Let it end with the Russian people taking this thug and war criminal down.
I'll add one last thing, and stop importing Russian oil. That means the U.S., and that means our allies in Western Europe. And by the way, don't even contemplate taking in or importing Iranian oil. That would be about, well, maybe the equivalent or even dumber. Senator Lindsey Graham, thank you for being with us. I agree with you. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page.
Fuck you, Sean Hannity. Okay, all right. Where am I? I'm here. Okay, a couple of points I want to make about that. One, Sean Hannity and Lindsey Graham are in agreement that the assassination of Vladimir Putin needs to be done. And I'm not going to hear a lot of liberals condemning Lindsey Graham for this like they need to. Several years ago, Pat Robertson called for the assassination of Hugo Chavez in Venezuela. And liberals were justifiably outraged when they condemned Pat Robertson for doing this, because that's insane. Political assassinations suck. Yeah, I mean, and yeah, fuck Donald Trump for assassinating Qasem Soleimani back in 2020. I mean, that also was irresponsible and dangerous. But Sean Hannity and Lindsey Graham basically have supported every war in the last 2 decades by the United States. Every neoconservative war. What other kind of wars exist today by America? Lindsey Graham called Putin a war criminal. Let me tell you how ironic and how funny it is, because Lindsey Graham is a war criminal. He's a war criminal too. I mean, anybody who casted a vote to go and attack another country that didn't do anything to us. Iraq didn't do anything to us. It didn't even have weapons of mass destruction. I mean, that's an act of war. That's a war crime. And no, I'm not being a partisan hack either. When the Libyan government went down under Obama's watch, under Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's watch too, that was a war crime as well. And you can see we're paying the political price for Iraq. We're paying the political price for Libya. Lindsey Graham and Sean Hannity are the ones who who wants to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. And it's funny that Sean Hannity, I believe, referenced Ronald Reagan into outlawing the practice of murdering leaders in other countries. You know, when Ronald Reagan is more reasonable than Sean Hannity, or comes out more reasonable than somebody else, you fucked up. Even Ted Cruz, even Marjorie Taylor Greene, who are both assholes, scum of the earth, pieces of shit, said that Lindsey Graham was irresponsible. Stop clock gives the right time twice a day, I guess. But, Lindsey Graham, the thing about it is that trying to cause World War III is wrong. And Sean Hannity and Lindsey Graham are doing their part as much as Vladimir Putin if the goal is to try to start World War III. They're no better than Vladimir Putin. In fact, I'd have a problem when people are rattling sabers against another country in general. Anyway, as a general rule, I'm opposed to you rattle sabering against other countries. But I really, really, really object to rattle sabering when nuclear weapons on both sides are involved. I mean, and Lindsey Graham, with his smug attitude, said, I'm on the right side of history. Shut the fuck up. You have been on the wrong side of history from the day they elected your dumbass down in South Carolina. What the fuck is wrong with the people of South Carolina? And Lindsey Graham, Sean Hannity was talking about oil, don't buy any oil from Russia. Don't buy any oil from Iran. Well, you know what? Sean Hannity says nothing about Saudi Arabia. I mean, the fact that Saudi Arabia, not Iran, but Saudi Arabia is the nation that's responsible for a lot of the terrorism against the West by jihadis around the world. I mean, Syria and Iran might do some of it, but not to the level of Saudi Arabia. But people like Sean Hannity and Lindsey Graham likes to suck the cock of Saudi Arabia. And here's the thing: if oil is such a big concern, if we have to buy oil from other countries, the one effective way, if we have to buy oil outside the U.S., is to make nice down in Venezuela instead of bullying. Because, say what you will about Venezuela, but Christianity is an outlaw. You can be a Christian in Venezuela. Saudi Arabia, leaving the Islamic faith, will get you killed. But Sean Hannity wants to sit there and embrace Saudi Arabia and kick Venezuela around. Being LGBTQ in Venezuela, I'm not going to say it's great and affirming, but it won't get you killed. And they are affirming compared to the government of Saudi Arabia, which being LGBTQ means capital punishment, death. The thing about it is, Venezuela is a secular country that allows religious liberty. Saudi Arabia is a theocracy. And if you want to buy oil from another country, I say make nice with Venezuela. Let Sean Hannity be like, no, we don't do that. Same thing with Lindsey Graham. No, we don't do that. All I got to say is that Sean Hannity and Lindsey Graham prove how wrong they are, how evil they are. This is not like a tax issue about the wealthy paying their fair share. It's not that kind of policy issue. It's not even a cultural issue of pro-life, pro-choice on abortion. This is something on a new level to urge the assassination of somebody in another country. And that shit starts with the United States doing this. And honestly, the United States have done this over the years in a more quiet way. But being loud about this, you know what? That's going to give the green light for these other countries to do the same thing to us. That's irresponsible. You need to abide by international law. And the United States just can't say we're the good guys and we'll do whatever the hell we want. It doesn't work that way, nor should it. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree, well, comment anyway. We'll have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it because we are, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. Hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button, and help make this channel grow. And until next time, remember, there's no war other than the class war. And We're all Julian Assange. And now, what I do is I'm going to end with a little bit of music. Y'all take care. Take it easy. Until next time.